I don't know about you guys, but I hate wintertime. It's cold and dreary, it just sucks. So I decided to build a greenhouse onto our home so we could have summertime all year long. Today we're going to show you how we built that. Come on, check it out. Some things you need to figure out before you start building your greenhouse is, exactly what zone do you live in? How cold is it? How warm is it? That'll determine how much electricity you need from maybe an additional heater or additional fans or water pumps, all that good stuff. And then, what side of the house do you have available? If you build it on the east side, like we've got ours, it works out pretty well. If it was on the west, it might be a little too hot. And then on the north side, you might not get enough sun. So that'll come into play as well. And what do you want to grow in your greenhouse? Are you going to just try to keep plants alive through the winter that are in your home? Do you want to start seedlings in the spring? Are you trying to do orchids? All that will decide too exactly what you need inside there as far as heat and controls and how complicated or how simple it may need to be. All right, so you guys are lucky. If you made it this far through the video, you get a sneak peek of the aviary project, which we're going to do a video on next. So it'd be a good time to hit subscribe so you'll know when we air it. Anyway, we're going to climb in there and I'm going to show you the foundation here because it's the exact same as the greenhouse. 4-inch pad just goes right up to the 3-block high wall. Your 2x8 will sit on top of here and your 2x4s will go up to the ceiling where you'll put 2x6 or 2x8s for your purlins and then connect your flashing to that and then your polycarbonate. So here's where air comes into our greenhouse. These are the automatic louvers you can kind of see behind this screen. The screen's there obviously to keep bugs out. So the louvers are controlled by a thermostat. When it reaches a predetermined degree, then they open, and then the fan, which is controlled by a thermostat as well, if that doesn't cool it just by simple airflow, then the fan will kick on, and then the secondary fan after that if needed. I really like the way that aluminum track that we got from Atlas Greenhouse Systems, how it looks. It's clean, it's pretty, nice and bright. There's your polycarbonate, very clear material. All right, so we looks like the misters are on back here, keeping all the orchids and everybody nice and wet. Crazy humid in here. Another reason why you got to have everything water sealed. So all of the water is controlled by this Rainbird, which I learned how to install by watching a YouTube video. So thanks to that dude showing me how to do that. Water and electricity comes in here. Hot water heater for the winter time, and that just runs up conduit and goes wherever it needs to go. There's a thermostat that controls the louvers on our cooling pad over there. The top and bottom are sections of PVC pipe. What we did, I think this was 8 or 10 inch PVC pipe here that we just cut in half to create the bottom and then also the top. We took that twin wall polycarbonate sheeting and actually just took a jigsaw and cut out some caps, silicone them on to make it watertight, and then ran from a little fountain pump up a 1/2 inch PVC line, makes an elbow right there, and it goes across the entire top inside of there. Little 1/8 inch holes drilled, about 20 of them, so that water can just trickle down through this material into the bottom tray and flow right back into the bucket. So this material we got from a local poultry supply house. It's a special salt impregnated cardboard. Lasts a good long while, and the water just simply trickles down through there while the air is coming through. Cools it down about 15 degrees versus whatever the temperature is outside. So very simple reservoir, 5-gallon bucket. This is just the guts out of a toilet. So it's an evaporative cooling system. It loses water. So that's where the toilet thing comes in. When this gets a little low, it simply fills it back up. And I've got that screwed, I drilled a hole in the bottom of the bucket. I've got that screwed on with a lock nut and just siliconed around it so it didn't leak. Works out pretty good, and it's simple and cheap. Everything's controlled by this little, right out of the store timer. I think it comes on at around 7 a.m. and cuts off at 6 p.m. right now, but you can change that, to your situation. Did have to run some additional power around here. So again, if you can kind of pre-plan that, it'll save you some time and money. This is just a deflector made again out of that polycarbonate. I had all the airflow, all the cool air was just going to that wall, and the birds and plants needed it, especially this girl here, right, Scarlett? So built that to deflect, and that's curved. Hopefully you can see that there. And so that kicks the air out more towards her pen and towards the center of the greenhouse. And back here, I can show you where the heat comes in. So you see that vent there. Okay, here's our wood burning stove that we fire up during the winter. And so all we're really doing is just grabbing some of that hot air up by the ceiling. This is the HVAC vent. And so I just bought another one of those to then tie on that 8-inch inline ductwork with a fan in it. So when the greenhouse calls for it, you can't even hear it, but it's just pulling air through that vent and blowing it right into the greenhouse. That's coming from the living room where we showed you the wood burning stove. It's just an inline duct fan, super quiet, and moves enough air to keep it warm in here. And I came in and built some shelves to put some plants on. Here are our two 24-inch quiet air fans we also got from Atlas Greenhouse. They're really helpful. I just called and said, hey, I've got a greenhouse, X dimensions, which this is a 20 by 30, and give them the height. And they say, okay, well, you need this size fan to move this many cubic feet per minute so that you have good airflow, or proper airflow, I should say. I recycled some pallets, just used them as shelves really, put some orchids on. I think it looks pretty neat, and they were free, so it works. There's another thermostat, electrical outlet. Oh, this tree is pretty cool. So, this thing's free span. There's no support in the middle of this building. So I took this tree, thank you for ringing that bell, Kona. I took this tree and used it as support and also to hang orchids off of. And so that we could work at night, we put 4 LED lights up in the ceiling. So we can come out here during the evening and play around and get warm and give the birds a little bit more daylight too. Little workstation, little swing for the birds. Well, I hope you learned something by watching this video. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And do us a favor, please hit the subscribe and like button below. That way you'll be notified when the next video of the aviary comes available. Thanks, y'all. See ya.